Hello everyone, my name is Rajesh Kumar and I'm your DevOps SRE DevSecOps coach. I have close to 18 plus years of experience working in multiple MNCs around the globe and having in-depth knowledge of DevOps, SRE and DevSecOps. So I would like to introduce you one certification program in a DevOps, and that is we call it DevOps Certified Professional. Now this is a 2 months of program, 25 tools of DevOps you will learn, and apart from that you will also get the access to the LMS, lifetime access to the videos portal. It's a certification program, and you will have 25 assignments and 2 projects along with it. It's a completely weekend program, so here you have classes on Saturday and Sunday. So as part of this course, you will learn multiple things. Here you see that you will learn Linux, AWS, Docker, Jira, Confluence, Python, Git with GitHub, SonarQube, Maven, Gradle, Packer, Artifactory, Selenium, JMeter, Ansible, Kubernetes, Helm, Terraform, Jenkins, Datadog, Splunk, and Neuralink. Now, how do we, apply for this? So, how can you reach out to us? So, you have a WhatsApp number and email ID. So, please reach out to us, and we'll help you to onboard this program. Apart from this DevOps certified professional programs, we are offering other certifications as well in a DevSecOps, SRE, and one of the very comprehensive programs which we have is in Master in DevOps Engineering. Yeah, so feel free to get in touch with us and then enroll for it. Thank you.
Okay, so the first question which we have is what is what is Git? Okay, so there is a two tools we'll have to learn in the next three session. One is a Git, another one is a GitHub. Which, by the way, which tool you guys are using? GitHub, GitLab, or Bitbucket? Which tool?
We are using GitHub.
GitHub. Wonderful. So these are the two tools we'll learn in the next three sessions. So what is Git? So when we say Git, then we all say it's like a versioning, right? Versioning. So the question is, what is versioning then? So versioning is a process in which what we found out, we try to understand the files which was managed by a team who has modified. Okay, so versioning, it can be done by for the source code also, and it can be done for the packages also. But right now I'm not talking about the versioning for the packages, but versioning for the source code. So through the versioning, we would like to know who has modified the files, what time he has modified the files, why he has modified the files, where exactly the modifications are, and when it was modified. So all this information you'll get to know through the versioning process. That means any files, if you put it through the versioning process, then you'll get to know. Now Git is the tool which will help us in terms of versioning the source code, and all the information you'll get to know. So if you talk about the little bit of history of versioning tools, so initially we had SCCS tool in open source category, then RCS, then CVS, then SVN, and then now we have Git. Now, if you talk about the proprietary one, we had TFS, we had Perforce, we had ClearCase, and all these tools we had. Now, if you look at all these tools and then Git is completely different. Okay, so we say Git is the architecture is based on the distributed concept. So how it is, I will discuss in some time. But remember that these tools which I'm showing on my screen: SVN, CVS, RCS, SCCS, ClearCase, Python, these were based on the server and client model, whereas Git is based on the distributed model, and that I will help you to understand in a little bit of time. So these are some of the important timeline which we have for the tools which is developed in the versioning category, versioning problems, and so on. So I'll just not focus too much. So here Git is born in April 2005. Now this was developed by Linus Torvalds. Anyone have idea who's the Linus Torvald?
creator of Linux.
Anyone? Yes, he's the father of Linux also. So he is the father of Git also. So both the software is written by Linus Torvald only. And Git was replacement, sorry, replacement for Bitkeeper. Now, what is a Bitkeeper? So Git Bitkeeper was also a versioning tool, a source code management tool, which was used by Linus Torvald teams to manage the source code of kernel. Another time there was some conflict happened, and because of that, Linus Torvald decided to write their own tool for it. So that is how we have a Git now. So yeah, Git is popular. Why? Because of it's a distributed version control. Now I'll talk about what is the server and client model and distributed model in some time. Of course, it's open source and free software. Git is compatible with all the operating system, whether it's Windows or Linux, and it is faster than other SCM tools, sometimes 100x. That means why it is faster? The answer is hidden in distributed version control itself. Okay, so which I'll talk about in some time. Now, if you look at the stats in GitHub, okay, GitHub is a different platform. Okay, to look at the popularity of Git, we are sharing. I'm sharing with you the stats which you have on GitHub. So how many repository you got it? So look at this timeline. In 2009, we had only 50,000 repository at GitHub, but by 2020, we have over 190 millions of repository and so on. So 40 million users. So look at the popularity of Git. So how people are adopting the Git and things like that. Now, who can use the Git? So basically, anyone, anyone who write a piece of text-based file means I'll put it in this way. Any files which you can open up with a notepad in a simple way, you can consider it as a text-based file. So any file which you can read it, okay, human can read it, understand. It's a text-based file. So these files, it can be a PHP files, Java files, Python files, or anything as such. HTML, CSS, JavaScripts, and all these are also these files can be versioned. But Git is not designed for versioning the non-text based file. So now when you say non-text based file, that means what? So non-text based file means images. See, you can store the images in a Git, but if you see the difference between the two images, let's say I committed say one image, one version of image at 10 o'clock and another one at 11 o'clock, and you want to see the versioning of it. I mean, version means the changes, difference between the two files, you'll not be able to see. You still will be able to store it. Okay, so that is something which Git will not help you in terms of tracking those changes, but can store it. So image file is called non-text based file, movies file, music file, font, Word document also non-text based file, a spreadsheet, PDFs. So these are called non-text based file, which you can store it, but versioning you cannot see that through the Git. So yeah, these are the things you can store in the Git. Now, next thing is Git is distributed. Okay, whereas all the other tools which I said in starting with the SVN and all that stuff like SVN, CBS, Force, ClearCase and all. So that is a server and client model. Git is a distributed. So how it is? Let's try to understand this. So so now when we want to store any source code, okay, so first thing what you need, let's say you need one machine, one compute unit, you need it, and in that we have one repository. This is the repository, and to manage this repository we have one tool installed for it. Okay, so and this repository consists of primarily two files: the files which you stored, that is files you can say, And second thing, you can call it a DB or metadata, whatever you now call it. You can call it here. So this is a repository, okay, repo, and this is the software application which manage the repository. And this repository and application is installed in this machine, and this is the IP address. Okay, so far so good. Any questions, any doubts?
No.
Yeah. So now this is something which you have. Now what we do as a developers, we this is my laptop, and we install the client. Okay, and the client just take a one part of the code using this IP address, username and password and all this stuff, and store it here. Now, because the repository is here in the server, we call it server, and this is connecting through the client, so we call it client. So now anything which you want to do, when I say anything, that means adding the code, modifying the code, deleting the code, branching, merging, viewing the latest code, all this thing, for that this this network connection has to be there. Okay, everything, that means this is the client only, and we modify the source code, and everything we do at this repository which is located at server. Mind it, this is a repository, and repository has two sections primarily: files and then metadata or DB. And DB will have all the data like who modify, when modify, where modify, all this thing, and files which is this one. Make sense? Got it, all of you?
Yes,
Hello?
yes.
Yeah, so this model we call it a server and client model. So if you have other people also, so they will install the client and do that. Now in the Git, we need to understand this one. In the Git, it's happening in this way. Let's say this is the two client right now. Let me create one more. So here you have three people who's connecting to the server, and the server has a repository through this is managed by through some software like SVN purpose and all. Now in this case, in Git case, everyone will have their own repository. So this my laptop. This is your laptop. This is someone else's laptop. There's a four people we have. And when you want to do the versioning of the source code, then you are basically working on your own repository. This is the repository, this is the repository, this is the repository, and this is the repository. And then you use client, which is a Git client, to work against your own repository actually. Look at this here. So here in the server and client model, we talk to the server through the network. And here in the Git model, this is the repository you have. Here you have file and then metadata. Okay. And you work on the your local repository. That means if you want to work with files, that means adding a file, deleting a files, viewing the files, branching, merging, conflict resolution, anything you want to do, you do in the your own repository. Same way, this guy is also doing their own repository. This guy also is doing the same repository, is in local repository, and this guy also is doing the local repository. So now if you see that this is the distributed model, that means there's no network connection for branching, merging, adding, deleting, and all this stuff. It's a local call actually to the local repository. So this is what we call it. Git is distributed. This means independently, everyone can do the work without any server needed. So in this architecture, if you see, there is no server here, but in this architecture, there is a server which has to be up and running in order to do the Git operations. Make sense, all of you?
Yes.
Yeah. So so this model we call it distributed. This model we call it server and client model. Now you will have one questions like, okay, in the server and client model, because everyone works on the same server, though it's through the network, so integration is done at the server level. But how this integration will be done in this model? So that is what I'll talk about it. How can we do this? Basically, we can sync each other. Okay, so there's no server in the Git. There is no server. We can sync each other. This repo to this repo, this repo to this repo, this repo to this repo, and this repo to this repo. Any repo you can sync, and that is how the integration is being done. So this I'll discuss after some time. Okay, any
What is
questions so
the
far?
yeah? What is the meaning of distributed here?
So
As we are
distributed
seeing.
means you, without having server, you can work independently. When you say work, means adding, deleting, modifying, all this stuff. So let's say you want to version your source code. So just you have a local repository and start working on it. You don't need any servers concepts, something like that. So everyone can do the same way. It's a distributed. Getting my point?
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay. So now Git is distributed in that way. So now what is a Git workflow? So Git workflow is very simple. You start creating a repository, add the files into that, commit it into that. Okay. So this I'll show you through the demo. It'll be easy for me and so on. So let's get started. So guys, a demo, please look at it my screen very carefully because you have to do the same. So first thing, step number one, install Git. Now this, I think you might have done it already, but still I will cover if someone have not done it, so you can do that. So here there is a software which you can see here. So you can download for Windows or Mac or Linux, depends on your operating system, and you can install it. So in Windows we have installations using this website, and in a Linux you will have installations using, you can do, let's say if you're on Ubuntu, apt-get, install git, sudo also you can have, and you can also, if you're an RHEL CentOS and all the stuff, you can add yum install git. So this is the command line installation. This is the UI based installation. You can do that. So here in Windows we have exe file which will help you to install the Git. Now after installing the Git in Windows, I'm covering the Windows part actually. So here, I mean, commands and all, it's the same. There's no difference. Installation instructions will be changed. So in Windows, then you get one utility which is called Git Bash. Okay. So what is a Git Bash? So Git Bash basically the basic Linux commands. Okay, basic Linux command you can run in Windows also using the Git Bash. So that's the advantage about the uh, Git Bash. Okay, so this is something which you have to do that. That's the step number one. So have I done this one? So yes, I have done it. It's a simple installations. So if you go and see that my start menu, this is the Git Bash. So and same time command line also you can verify. This is command line git hyphen version here 2.3, and PowerShell also you can use it after installing this. PowerShell git hyphen version, here it is, and now this one also. So git hyphen version. So I like the color of git bash a lot, and some basic commands you can learn run from Linux. So I will use the git bash one. All of you are comfortable? Any questions? Any doubts?
Yes, I do have one question.
Yeah.
Couple of us, we are actually not able to install this CentOS in M1 chip laptops, Mac M1 chip laptops. So, is it good to install Linux rather than CentOS and then use these things?
Linux is a CentOS is a Linux. Okay. Ubuntu is also Linux. So right now, all of your laptop is Windows, I guess, right?
Mac.
No,
It is
Mac.
Mac.
No, Mac.
Yeah. So all of you have a Mac. So no problem. You can install Mac also the Git. So if you access this website, you will get this is automatically detected download for Mac. So here when you download, you will download the DMG file. Okay, and this DMG file you click, it will install the Git, and which you can install use through command line of Mac. So right now for this session, you don't need any Linux or something like that. Though if you want to practice in Linux, that's a different thing. But practicing in Windows or Mac or Linux, Git command, the behavior will remain same. Make sense? So you can decide what you want to use it. I would suggest don't install any VM or sort of thing. Use the base operating system only, which can be Mac or Linux or Windows. Make sense?
So Devish, you
Yes.
must be having Git already. Just type Git command in your terminal. You will get.
It we do have,
Yeah.
but only CentOS we are not able to install.
No. CentOS right now we'll
Yeah,
have a Linux session also. In that we'll discuss about it. Okay.
yeah,
So
sure.
let's focus on the current topic right now. Okay, so installing Git, and everyone, Git is a developer tool. Okay, so you will install in a base machine only. So whether it's a Mac or Windows, you use in the your machine only. Okay, so now that is a step number one. Second step number, which I want you to do that, go to your workspace. You know why I'm asking this one, because people simply open up a command just like here, and they started firing the commands. I mean Git commands. So what will happen? This will be created in this directory, which I don't want. So go to some directory. Let's say here cd workspace, cd c drive, c drive like this, and here you have C drive, and here I have created one workspace folder, workspace or Rajesh all, CD Rajesh all, and here I'll create one Git directory, Git directory, and here I have Git, and now mkdir repo1, and now this I want to show you an explorer. So see here. So what I did, C drive, Rajeshwal, Git, repo, and it's empty file. So do have a working that. Okay, I decided I'll go for uh, Rajeshwal Git no workspace here. Okay, so I just moved it, and you can start the Git bash here also. Okay, so now cd git repo1. Okay, so now what I did, we planned go to workspace where we'll start the coding, and then step number one, step number three, create repo. How do we create a repo? Create a Git repo. Okay. So you should always done this stuff in the empty repo, empty directory. Okay, so be careful. So every time you create a repo, you should be in empty directory. So that's the reason here, if you noticed, here I am inside the empty directory. So how do we create a repo? So git init. Now, if you read this, initialize empty git repository in blah blah blah. So this is your repository. So sometime in Mac or Windows it will be hidden. So you have to see through the commands. In a Linux, in a Mac you have a LA command, means hidden files. Linux command will work in Mac, and in Windows you have to, you have to open this one and show hidden items. This one you have to enable it. Okay, so this is the file. So creating a repository, this is the third step. And then step 4, start writing code. Okay, so start writing the code. So whatever the code you want to write, you have to start writing. So now let me start to command line. So this is the moment you create a repo, no, this master will come in the git bash. Or normal command line might not see because of uh, this is designed for git population. So here I'm creating one file, touch code one.java, something like that, faking out that file. Okay, so touch will create a fake file. But if you think no, I want to create manually or some editor like Eclipse or something like that, you can do that also. Eclipse editor, ID, Visual Studio, and all this can be used. So now this is the directory, and here I am creating one more file for me, and code 2.java, and now one more file, code 3.java. And this is the way I am writing my code actually. Okay, now let's say some of the files I add. This is the line, this is code one line, two line, three lines, and here also I'll write few lines of code, and here also I'll just empty file also it's possible, and so on. So now I created a files, my code changes whatever I want to do in the repository. And now this is the step 4. Step 5, you have to do add these files to Git. Okay, this is step 5. How do we add it? So let me show you. Here, clear the screen. And the command for adding these files to the Git is git add code 1 enter. So this is the way you can add a files to the Git. Now, after this, fifth step, step number 6, commit added file to Git. Now here I'm getting little confused about. Here you are adding a files to Git and committing the files to Git. So we need to understand the difference actually. What is the difference between add and commit? But you know what? Commit is like if you follow this versioning process, commit is the last step where the files will be committed in the repository. So here from you are working from here to this repository. So before that, because you are doing local, everything you are doing in the local, so they will not ask you IP address, username, and password because it's a local repository and you have a complete control of it. But somewhere, somehow, we need to know who is committing, who are you, okay? Because when and all we'll get it from the system, when means time. But who are you? So here is a one-time activity you have to do. One-time activity, this is I'll just write one-time activity, and you need to set that your name and email address. How do I set it? So git config, this is the first time only, user dot name Rajesh Kumar, and here git config user.email devops@rajeshkumar.xyz.
If you would have any issues with our channel membership, you can drop an email to us at contact@devopschool.com, or you can also unsubscribe from channel membership anytime if you don't want to continue or did not like the video. Please be kind enough to like it, and you can comment any of your doubts and queries. We will reply to them at the earliest. Thanks for watching.